Hey, this is Scot McRoberts with Virginia Council of CEOs, and today I'm chatting with Tom Cricchi, CEO of Sycom. Tom, how are you?
Great.
Good, good. Um, so you and your family well? Everybody's weathering the storm?
I'm an empty nester, which makes things a lot easier. I'm so empathetic to my teammates that are home with small children. I'm actually at the office. It's deserted here, but it's a marriage preservation thing. I spend about 2 days a week here
Yeah,
out of the house, but I'm very fortunate. Kids are up in DC, safe,
good,
working remotely.
good.
So good in that sense. Thanks for
Yeah.
asking.
So give me a minute or so on Sycom, what kind of work y'all do, and maybe how
Sure.
long you've been doing Sycom.
Yes, ICOM's been in business for 24 years. I started almost 20 years ago, joined from my days at Cisco. So we're what's called an IT solution provider. We do a number of things. One thing is to sort of transform how the workplace works. It's good that we're in that business in these times, but we also move people to the cloud. We help them with their security, help them with their networks, those kind of things. We have 142 folks sprinkled around the state, a few out of state.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's good time to do what we do for sure.
Yeah, so I was thinking about our conversation, and I imagine you guys are so kind of besieged by current customers and potential customers who say, "Help us figure out this new virtual world we're living in, this remote work." And are y'all busy as can be?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. So certainly in the first 3 weeks of this, it was literally a frenzy is the only way I can describe it. So projects that we would normally take a month to do were happening in 2 days and all happening at once. And not just the remote work connectivity, setting people up at home, but there's a security element of that. There's a video element to that. So yes, we were very, very busy. It feels still feels busy, but like a lot of businesses, we're tied to the economy and GDP. So
Mhm.
we are absolutely bracing for a downturn for a good bit of Q2 and into Q3.
Sure, sure. And so, how are your people adjusting to this remote work? I imagine a lot of your folks are already doing remote work.
It's a very mature workforce. They know how to work remotely. We're really focused more on the mental health of working remotely. There are some people that came to the office every day and doing this in a sustained way because our employees that work remotely are not going to customer sites either. So it's pretty much bunker down, and we are very attuned to the idea of fatigue and WebEx and Microsoft Teams being more draining than physically being with people.
Yeah.
The environment with the kids around, with the wife around, elderly parents. So we're really focused on the mental health side of that. And our tagline is connected, sort of ironically. So we're trying to stay connected with all these employees in a number of ways. It's
Yeah. Any
important.
any any particular creative thing y'all are doing to help?
I think the virtual happy hour is the sort of the staple these days, but we're also doing small groups, playing games. There's a gaming community in our group. We're not discouraging, spending lunchtime doing gaming.
Mhm.
Group of folks that get together in the morning to do crossword puzzles and horoscopes and those kind of things. So we're having people not just use our tools for internal use, but also reach out to their families to use our tools kind of a fringe benefit. Host meetings with your families, your friends. I heard one story of a 12-hour WebEx meeting over a Saturday where people watched movies together. They sort of floated in, floated out. It was interesting use of the technology for sure.
That's great. That's great. So I know as CEO, you have lots of roles, but one of those is probably business development. And as as we've sort of pivoted into this crisis, you mentioned a frenzy of projects and work. How do you see approaching business development going forward for the next 3 or 6 months when you know that your customers and potential customers are probably suffering and declining in some ways? And what's your approach to that?
Well, again, there's sort of two sides of that. The first is just supreme empathy. So engage with the customer. What's your situation? Do you need a payment plan? Do you need deferred? Do you need some forgiveness? What do you need to survive in your business? Because we need you as a customer. So the other side is, I think of it like my favorite event of the year is the NCAA basketball tournament. So we have sort of a survive and advance mentality. It's a competitive, event. It's very high stakes. There's some exhilarating moments, some devastating moments. You just sort of take a week at a time. We think in terms of weeks. And so we have KPIs that we measure every single week now, where before weren't that attuned to it. And it just is sort of that mentality, like in an NCAA tournament. It's just, we got to win this week.
Got to win this week.
And be agile and be ready to game up again next week. So that's the way we're treating business development in the same way. We actually have almost 20 business development people, and their edict is real simple: is to stay connected with the customers.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. What are you missing most about your day-to-day life as a CEO from 5 weeks ago? And how are you staying connected with your peers?
Well, that's funny you asked that. I just did a town hall, and I do believe in being more personal in these events than I was in the past. And I talk about lunch. Obviously, I don't miss lunch very often. I enjoy lunch. I enjoy lunch with customers, lunch with my peers, business development lunch, lunches you host, and that's just been crushing. That lunch is now not a thing, and so I've treated it as my sort of daily sanity break. Is like, okay, Tom, you got to come up with something creative for lunch. Take out, go home, make something. You got to treat lunch as a diversion that sort of gets you out of the business for a little while, keeps you on your toes, and then jump back into it. So I'd say that's I hate to say it, but that's the number one thing I miss is lunch the old way.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I know you're in one of our Virginia Council CEOs forum groups. So you guys have been meeting a little more frequently than in the past?
We've been meeting every other week. It's been an hour and a half, which has been nice. And, the groundwork that we've laid over the last, most people, it's been at least 3 or 4 years, some of us, 12 years. The groundwork allows us to go right to the trustful sort of sharing. Mm-hmm. Here's what happened with my PPP loan. Here's what's happening with my employees and why I'm scared for them. Here's how I personally feel. Here's what's going on at home that makes me anxious, and I'm worried about that translating to my team. So it's just been great. I look forward to it, and don't have a lot of competition for space on the calendar now as much. And so it's been an absolute foundation of getting through all this.
Terrific. Well, thanks for taking time to chat with me, Tom. We have a thing we do in the council, one word close. You got one word for me?
Uncertainty.
I'm with you, brother. Thanks. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Scott. See you.
Take care.